close. Joining us now, Clayton Leisure, President and CEO of Merchants and Marine Bank, and Jeff Trammell, the COO of Merchants and Marine Bank. Gentlemen, thanks for joining Middays.
Hey, thank you so much for having us. It's an honor to talk to you.
Yeah, good morning.
You bet. Thanks. So tell us about this CannaFirst Financial. This is apparently the first financial institution in the state of Mississippi to provide banking services to the recently launched medical cannabis industry.
Yeah, so we're really excited to be able to talk about this. A couple of years ago, we began watching the ongoing developments in terms of the state's progress toward legalizing cannabis for medicinal purposes. And after it was legalized last year, our executive team kept waiting to see banks jump out and put in place the necessary controls and frameworks to be able to help those entrepreneurs and business leaders who invested heavily to bring medicinal cannabis to Mississippi, but we just didn't see any banks doing that. And we judged there to be a great opportunity to fill the gap, to stand in the gap, if you will, and to create a company that tailored to banking medical cannabis professionals in Mississippi rather than forcing them to deal with their own cash logistics and what to do with the money. We had the ability and expertise in-house to create an ecosystem where these companies could deposit money, transact the way they need to, without having to worry about their bank not satisfying the pretty rigorous federal expectations around monitoring and tracking all the dollars flowing through the bank. And so with that, after a tremendous amount of due diligence, we launched CannaFirst Financial in the first half of 2022, and since that time have had a tremendous amount of success. Jeff Trammell, who is our COO of the bank and our holding company, has served as the managing director for CannaFirst Financial up until now, and so is not only familiar with the banking element of that, but also very familiar with the Mississippi medical cannabis industry itself.
So, Jeff, what is it about providing banking services to this industry that is perhaps a problem, a hurdle for just standard treasury services, banking services in general?
Well, the first thing is you have to remember that cannabis is a Schedule I drug. It's illegal from a federal point of view. Most banks, regardless of what you've heard recently in the news, are really risk averse. We don't like to violate federal laws and whatnot. It's just not a good idea to violate this type of laws. But it is state legal, and this has been done before in other states. So we understand that people need to transact business.
Right.
We've heard stories in Colorado before cannabis banking was here, business owners, successful business owners in the cannabis area space having millions of dollars in their businesses and in their homes, and that potential of having that much cash around is just not a good idea. That's what the banking system was designed for. We've had calls with other bankers in Florida where people were paying their cannabis dues and their taxes in cash, in duffel bags of cash, bringing that to the courthouse to pay their taxes. That didn't make any sense either, because carrying cash, again, is a bad idea, especially in duffel bags in large amounts.
Sure.
So those are some of the challenges that we've had that, it's illegal, but it is legal from a state point of view. So we design our program with the Department of Justice code memos, which have been rescinded, with those guidance, along with financial.
The FinCEN guidelines.
Yeah, FinCEN enforcement. FinCEN guidelines, and with some guidance from a federal and state banking advice. And we design a program with that in mind to make it accessible to people in Mississippi, especially, that's our focus market, to have banking and have that service they have a right to.
Yeah, and Gerard, what I would add in, unlike a traditional business that has a sale, maybe we sell hot dogs and we get our cash from the hot dog sales and we go down to the bank to deposit that. There's no questions. Most banks are very happy to accept those deposits. With medical cannabis, there are very strict requirements on any bank that accepts those deposits to track down to the source of that transaction. So we have been able to put in place a framework whereby we can help dispensaries track every single transaction down to the dollar and tie that back to the medical cannabis recommendation cards, all of which is required for us to legitimize the deposits that are being made in the bank. So it's a significant amount of added compliance burden on the banks, and frankly, that's why you see so many banks just stay away. It's a lot of work to do it the right way, and worst of all, we've heard stories of banks getting into this without the controls, and whenever they have their ongoing bank exams, the bank examiners tell them they have to exit the business. And so what that means for medical cannabis bank clients is you get a call from your banker one day saying, hey, you've got to close your account in 30 days, and that's not good from a business standpoint. So that's why we wanted to go the extra mile to build a program here that complied with all the outstanding guidance to be safe and stable.
Sure. So, Clayton, explain the business relationship, the legal relationship between Merchants and Marine and CannaFirst Financial.
Sure, that's a great question. So CannaFirst Financial operates as a division of Merchants and Marine Bank. Legally, they are the same entity. Think of it as a doing business as or trade name. We felt that it would be appropriate to stand that up as a standalone brand to make it very much tailored and curated to the medical cannabis industry in the state. But legally, it is a part of the bank. It operates using Merchants and Marine Bank's federal banking charter from FDIC. So all accounts with us are FDIC insured, and that also means that all the medical cannabis clients that bank with CannaFirst have access to the bank's full suite of products. Now, those are tailored based on the enhanced risk management requirements we have around those accounts, but legally it is one entity. It is branded separately, and CannaFirst Financial is a trademarked brand at this point that operates as a division of the bank.
Okay. So you're obviously sharing same physical assets and resources and back office systems and so forth, or is there some separation there?
There is a little separation from the executive management standpoint in that we do have a standalone director of operations for CannaFirst Financial.
Okay.
They have their own website. They have their own internet banking system. But all that does ride on the rails of Merchants and Marine Bank's back office. And the reason that's important is CannaFirst is actually one of three separate companies that Merchants and Marine Bank operates this way. We have Canvas Mortgage, which is a standalone mortgage company.
Sure.
Same thing. It's a division of the bank. Most recently, we launched Voyager Lending, which is a small business administration loan funding source. And so we had built our back office years in advance ahead of this growth. And so we have the ability to service multiple companies and multiple brands from the same back office and get economies of scale that way.
Yeah, and one more thing to add there is all of our cannabis-related customers, all of our information is segmented or segregated in a way that we can identify those customers at any time.
Okay.
They're part within a distinctive branch within our overall financial system that we have here. So it allows us to at any time know who is in cannabis banking and who's not. We can track their deposits and all their transactions, all within guidance that we have that have been issued by FinCEN and by the Department of Justice.
So, Jeff, will CannaFirst be serving all the various elements of the ecosystem, distributors, processors, growers, retailers, dispensaries?
Yeah, that's a great question. We plan to be a full service. So we want to help the cultivators, dispensaries, and everyone in between that handles Mississippi cannabis, medical cannabis today.
Okay.
Eventually, we hope to extend that to some type of lending, which is kind of the sore spot for most banks in our industry, in the cannabis industry. Lending is, the access to capital and to put that capital to work. That's been a really hard line to figure out because of lack of federal guidance and state guidance. Yeah.
So what about your customers? I got to believe you've been receiving some calls. You're probably promoting these services to the industry, working with the association and the players in the business.
All the time. We were just one of the members of both the 3MA, which is the Mississippi Medical Marijuana Association, and the Mississippi Cannabis Trade Associations. Both the great organizations give us a lot of information, and we also give them information on the banking side to help their customers out. We go to trade shows. We're willing to talk to anyone, anytime about what medical cannabis is and how it helps people in Mississippi. And we're actively promoting ourselves 24/7.
Yeah, well, this has got to be a relief to the industry because this was a concern before the legislation was ever passed.
It has been, and you're spot on. I think it's been a concern nationwide, and again, our bank has a long history of standing in the gap when times are tough for people. As a community bank, we've been there through depressions, through recessions, through everything in between, and love helping small businesses. And so, it really, we judged it to fit who we are, standing in the gap and trying to find a solution that would help these people. And again, we just want to make the point. I mean, these are people who are doing it the right way. These are not back alley, sort of deals. These are people that have invested millions of dollars to do it the right way, and they're tightly regulated by the state. And so we just wanted those people to have a safe haven to put their cash and to be able to transact like the business leaders that they are.
Appreciate you guys coming on. I'll just kind of wind it up by saying these are institutionalized organizations. You guys have institutionalized the banking aspect of this industry, and this is really the way to do it. Appreciate you guys coming on.
Thank you for the time.
Thank you for the time. Have a great day.
You too. We're coming right back in the Element Wealth Studios. Please stay with us.